Hello, my name is Charles Russell, and this is the third in a video series I'm doing on JavaScript. And the subject of today's video is variables. So I'm going to start this discussion by talking about what we use variables in. And you'll see me use these terms throughout the rest of this video series. These terms are statement and expression. So statement requests an action, and expression sets a value. Variables are used in both of these. When used as an action, they're passed into functions. They're used to control branching and iteration. They can also be the target of an expression or the value of the expression. In computer books, you may see R value and L value. This refers to what side of the equal sign they're on. L is the left and R is the right. So what are variables? Well, variables are just a place to put something in you want to use later. A good analogy would be a box. In JavaScript, you can put anything into the box. In this language, boxes are a little magical. Boxes can resize themselves to hold anything you put in them. And if you dump something from one box into another, you replace the value or whatever's in the original box with what you just dumped into it. So if you have a box, you have to give it a name so you kind of know what box to refer to. And in JavaScript, it's pretty easy to name a variable. Just type the name, give it a value, and you've not only named it, you've created and sized it. Here's an example. In this thing, I made a variable called myVariable, and I put some really cool stuff in it. Now, I want you to note that I put var in front. Not using that var has certain implications we'll talk about more when I get into scoping, but for now, unless I say otherwise, put var in front of your variables. Another word for name is identifier. In computer books, you may hear it's more common to use identifier when they talk about names. In general, you can use any name you want, but there are a few rules to these names. All names must begin with a letter, an underscore, or dollar sign. But underscore in the beginning is usually used by the system, and dollar signs are commonly used by libraries. So unless you're doing libraries or writing something for the JavaScript system, it's probably not a good idea to use these to begin your variable name with. Now, after that first character, you use as many letters and numbers and dollar signs and underscores as you want. Matter of fact, it's real common for people to use the underscore to replace spaces. Another thing to note is that names are case sensitive. So name with a capital N and name with a lowercase n are not the same thing to the interpreters. Now some names you can't use, and that's because these names are reserved by the language itself. So if you try to set a value to any variable with these names, you're going to get an error and execution will stop. But just because something can be used as a name doesn't mean you should. These are names that if you use these as a name, although it's legal and will probably let you do it, you're going to disable some part of your implementation. So there's about 111 of these. This is just a partial list. For a full list, go to www.javascripter.net/fact/reserved.html to get more of them. Now, finally, we're going to introduce the idea here, a little bit of data typing. In JavaScript, it's weakly typed, which means that you don't have to give a variable a type when you declare it. This doesn't mean that the language is type unaware. What this means is that it will figure out what type it is by what the value is. So I'm going to get into data typing a lot in the next video. So for now, let's summarize what we've done. So variables, first of all, let's say that variables are used in statements and expressions. They're just a way to store things for later use. There are rules to naming variables, and you can't use reserved words as name. Some legal names are not a good idea. JavaScript is a weakly typed language. Now, on the next video, we're going to get into data types in a great deal of detail. It's going to be a little bit longer, and we're going to get down in the weeds a little more. So until then, goodbye, and see you the next time.